This is Jupinderjit Singh and you're watching the Tribune interview. In this segment, we converse with eminent writers from Punjab and the region. Today we have Lieutenant General KJS Tiny Dhillon and his new book Wafadari, Imandari, Zimmedari From War Room to Boardroom. Such a fascinating title has just been released. General Saab, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Jupinder.
And going by the huge success of your first book, Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye, and the reception you received yesterday, I'm fully sure that this is also going to be a bestseller. You have been interviewed thousands of times, but still there is so much about you which our viewers don't know. And one question which many people have asked me, that a 6 feet 3 inch tall man, tall in height, tall in stature, and his name is Tiny Dhillon. So what is the story about that, sir?
A good day to all the Tribune viewers. The story about this nickname Tiny. When I joined my unit in December 1983, after doing my 3 years training at NDA and 1 year at IMA, and December 1983, the unit was deployed in the East Sikkim in high altitude area, and it was winters and 20 odd feet of snow all around. So in this unit, 4th Battalion, the Rajputana Rifles, which I was commissioned in, they have a small little tradition wherein they would nickname an officer, and the nickname would be opposite to his personality. Since I was 6 feet 3 inches, I was called Tiny Dhillon. Another officer senior to me, General Mohandeep Singh Ghura, he is also 6'3", he was called Shorty Ghura. And another officer junior to me, another 6 feet 3 inches, and he was called Mini. And the officer who was most meticulous, most going by the book and perfect in his everything which he does was called Goofy, and Anil Kumar Suri. So this is how that unit named it, and this name stays with you. Today in the army, about 95% of the people know me as Tiny Dhillon, including the ladies, children, the grandchildren, and even our seniors, juniors alike.
And the media also, sir.
And the media also. And now in the literary world where the books and literature of the writers is discussed, in that space also, now we are talking about the Tribune, and here also Tiny Dhillon is the most preferred name.
Yeah. And your Twitter handle also, sir?
Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, all handles are Tiny Dhillon.
That is, I mean, that gives you a very unique identity.
Absolutely,
that's true. And sir, another curious point is that you chose a Hindi title for your previous book, Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Gaye, and same is here, Wafadari, Imandari, Zimmedari. And it is very unusual, for an English book, and that too with, one of the premier publication house, the Penguin. So, what is the story behind this? Whose idea was this?
See, Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye was my debut book, and immediately after my retirement, I started writing that book. Right. And this phrase, Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye, was used first time by me in the conference, on the media conference post. We eliminated the Pulwama people who had done the Pulwama ID blast, terrorist, and we had eliminated them within 100 hours.
Right.
And the leader of that module was codename Ghazi. He was a Pakistani terrorist, Kamran. His codename was Ghazi. So ever since Pulwama incident on 14th February 2019 till we eliminated them by 18th February evening, the media, especially the vernacular media, a buzz with Ghazi has done this, Ghazi has done ID blast, Ghazi has attacked India. So with all that background, when the media conference was happening after we eliminated them within 100 hours, so a reporter asked me, "Sir, is Ghazi dead?" So I didn't want to give much credence to the terrorist, and I said, Kitne Ghazi Aaye, Kitne Ghazi Gaye, Parwah nahi. We are there and we will prevail. So this title, when I wrote the book, I suggested this title, and as you said, very prestigious international publishing house, Penguin. They were not very comfortable with the Hindi title for an English book. But I insisted.
Right.
And I said, no, my book will have this title, because the statement had become viral by that time.
Yeah, it was.
And anyway, they reluctantly accepted it when the book became an instant hit. 3 reprints in the pre-order stage only. And that is where they realized there's something new in it. And now when I was writing my second book with the same publishing house, this time they insisted, sir, title Hindi mein hona chahiye. So everything which succeeds becomes a trend. So now this is a second book with a vernacular title or a Hindustani title.
Yeah.
Wafadari, Imandari, Zimmedari, Boardroom to Boardroom.
And you are setting new trends also in
And
that
this book also is going for a reprint within the pre-orders.
pre-order stage.
Yes.
Yeah. That's salute to you and to the Indian Army also, sir. And so there is a story about this photo also, if I can show my readers. And so, what is who chose this picture, sir?
Again, when the first book was released,
Right.
that famous photograph where in the same press conference I am saying like this, and that photograph was suggested for the cover page. Again, the publisher didn't want it.
Okay.
Publisher said, sir, this look is very ferocious
Mm-hmm.
and the readers are very soft-hearted people
Mm-hmm.
and we should have a softer picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I insisted, no, we'll go with this picture only.
Mm-hmm.
And then Via Media was found, they said, okay, we'll get it painted.
Right.
So once they got the same picture painted, and when I looked at that oil painting, and my first comment was, यार आप लोगों ने तो मुझे जतेंद्र बना दिया. That man looked so handsome. I said, sorry, I'm not this. I'm a very rugged soldier. And this book is about the life story of a rugged soldier. So again, insisted on the same photograph, and the same photograph was there. And again, reluctantly they accepted. But this time again, they wanted a title in Hindi and a very ferocious looking photograph on the cover. So I had these photographs and then we chose it, and this is how the title and the photograph.
And it has come out so well, sir. So, sir, what is the difference between your first book and your second book?
First book was my life story as an individual,
Right.
and all the anecdotes, all the incidents were related to my life. Although any soldier, any person undergoing training or a cadet undergoing training at NDA or IMA, a young officer, newly married officer, officer posted in a conflict zone, counter-terrorism area, can relate to those stories. But they were specifically related to my life, what happened in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And aim was to tell the youngsters who are wanting to join the army, or the young girls who are wanting to marry an army man,
Mm-hmm.
or a young man wanting to marry an army, lady army officer, or a woman army officer, as to what lies behind the garrison walls. You know, you are coming from a biological family, and there is a different family out together out there.
Right.
So that family cares for you, that family shares with you, that family molds you, guides you, chisels you, and they stay with you for a whole life. You know, in our normal family, we might have certain clash of interests, certain clash of egos. In that family, there is nothing like this. The relationship is so pious and so non-interest clashing
Mm-hmm.
that you keep getting guidance even till today.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that book. Now, this book was based on the military leadership ethos, how they can be imbibed in the corporate world or civil life by a student, by a defense aspirant, by a young working mother, by a homemaker professional or non-professional mother, by young interns, the team leaders, the CEOs, or anyone in any profession.
That means it's like it has a universal appeal.
Universal approach,
In
and
all
it has a
spheres of
universal base. So, anecdotes in this book,
Mm-hmm.
some of them are from my life directly, but some of them are from the lives of other soldiers and ladies. Especially 2 chapters on the family sport in this book are so intense
Mm-hmm.
that while I was reading my manuscript again, I had tears in my own eyes.
Yeah, same here, sir.
They're so strong and so intense. And that is where the role of families, the role of women in our life, the role of our wives, our daughters, our mothers, they are the strength, they are the force behind the forces. Intense, and they're standing behind you like a rock. And when you are on the border giving you 100%, and there is not a murmur from the family, then you are giving your 200%.
Share an anecdote, sir.
Military wife is the strongest woman on this planet. And I'll share, there is a incident in the book where my wife, newly married,
Mm-hmm.
23, 24 years of age,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a Havaldar who lost his son in an accident, and I was posted in Mau. And we both went to them in the hospital. The child is still inside the operation theatre. The news has not been broken by the doctors. And my wife, who is newly married, not a mother yet, is trying to console the mother of the child whose son is lying inside the operation theatre and would be declared dead by any time. I went inside the operation theatre, the doctors informed me, and the responsibility was on me to break the news. I was myself just about 26, 27 years of age and not a father yet. But Zimmedari thi. because I was the officer from the unit of that Havaldar. And my wife was a officer's wife from the unit of that lady. And she came back home and she just broke away. She just broke down. But at the home, in the hospital, she was a solid rock-like figure. And I was myself surprised looking at my wife as to kitna dam hai. When she came back home, she let go of her emotions. And another incident narrated by an author, a colonel's wife, Mrs. Jyoti Barmola Mamgen, she herself is an author.
Yes.
She narrates how when she was 23 years of age, she got married to a young army captain. And they moved to, in Madhya Pradesh, some military station. And the unit was out for exercise. And there is a young Juan's wife who is in the 9th month of pregnancy. And unfortunately, the fetus has died inside the womb.
Oh God.
And the hospital people had to now clean up the thing. There was no person, there was no officer in the unit. The lady's husband was also not in the unit. So they called up this young bride, a captain or major's wife, who happened to be the company commander's wife of that lady's husband. And they, when she went to the hospital, they told her, this is what we have called you for. This lady is not agreeing for the operation or the abortion. And now this young 23-year-old girl who herself is not a mother again is trying to, convince that mother to be, okay, your baby is no more there, whereas she is not agreeing to it. And with great difficulty, she convinced her, and ultimately that Havaldar's wife tells her, "Mem sahab, agar aap bolte ho to main manti hu, kyunki aap mere mem sahab ho." And it doesn't finish there. And when they say, okay, she is ready, then the doctors give her a document to sign. As a next of kin, the responsibility is not of the doctor, responsibility is mine if something goes wrong. And now this lady narrates in her own words what emotions she goes through. And the title of that paragraph is, Mem Saab is not a title, it's a responsibility. So this book is full of such anecdotes and how these qualities of young interns, if I can use, can be imbibed in the corporate world where major decisions have to be taken. And your moral, mental, physical and character strength is at display.
Yeah. That was a very touching experience, sir, because when you confront death and disease and in such circumstances, your sensitivities, your human limits are tested.
Absolutely.
And so from this anecdotes, you are bringing the army experiences to the boardroom, the corporates, and I would dare say add in the government offices also, government meetings also, media world also, everywhere. So then, sir, I was going through your book and you have spoken a lot about what is the difference between a manager and a leader.
Yes.
And this difference is very important for the civic life.
Yes. Thank you, Jupinderji, for bringing up this point. A lot of us get confused between the role of a leader and role of a manager. And most of us start thinking, just because I am in a position of authority, I am a leader.
Yes.
See, leaders lead men and women into situations which are uncertain, but still the mission is important and non-negotiable. Leaders command men and women. Managers supervise projects.
That's a huge
That's a huge difference. Leaders have to have emotions because you're dealing with the humans. Managers need not have emotions because they are dealing with the deadlines, they are dealing with the invoices, they're dealing with the receipts and payments.
The balance sheets.
The balance sheets to unknown people, unknown faces. The leaders motivate the team to complete the mission. Managers will give them the stick out finishing by deadlines and meeting your targets. Managers do not care what problem that he or she, the young boy or the girl, is having at her home. He wants the job done. Leaders would care first for that person's own individual hygienic needs, her personal needs,
stress,
her emotions.
Yeah. Only then you can perform.
Then you can perform. Managers expect you in a 9 to 5 job to perform at 100% in these 8 hours and also the balance of the day. The leaders would suggest you be happy for the 16 hours at home.
Yes, that increases your
you be happy at the 16 and he will help you be happy at home for 16 hours. Yeah. And then when you come to the job for 8 hours, your performance will automatically go to 200%. So these are the subtle difference between leaders and managers, and leaders are there with you. managers are not there with you on the floor.
On the
Managers are not there in the field.
and managers don't take the bullet for you. Also.
Managers don't take the bullet for you. Leader leads you with his broad shoulders and taking the first bullet, literally in the battle.
India. And sir, there's a lot of social media movement going on these days about toxic culture at office, about toxic bosses. So your book also speaks about that.
Book deals with this subject because the young boy or a girl after college, he has done very well in the college, 98, 99, and these days 100% is a norm. And then he has been very pampered, he or she has been very pampered at home.
Right.
Because बच्चा पढ़ रहा है खाने में बेटा क्या लोगे चाय कब चाहिए कॉफी कब चाहिए and suddenly he or she joins this corporate. Right. And now gone are those pampering days, gone are those high flying percentages days. Now here is a big bad world where the boss expects you to do a job and do it by yesterday. And this youngster is under stress. He or she might be getting a very good package, very good CTC, but not very happy at work.
Performance blues.
Performance is gone. And I touched about this in the book. I say people don't chuck bad jobs. People chuck bad bosses.
That is so true, sir.
And this subject has been touched. How in the army we groom a youngster. When he joins the unit, how we keep him protected from harm. I remember I had a youngster coming to me in Kashmir when I was a commanding officer.
Right.
Didn't let him go out for any operation in the initial few months and would just listen to other officers narrating about how the operation went. And once I was out of the unit and suddenly operation had to be launched. And I realized there were only 2 officers in the unit at that moment in that post.
Right.
And this officer also went with the team. I called him back halfway through and I reached the spot of encounter and I was there as a second officer, as a commanding officer. And while de-inducting from Kashmir, we had a halt at my in-law's place.
Right.
And this young officer walks up to my mother-in-law and says, "Auntie, आपका जवाई मेरे को एक भी operation में नहीं लेके गया." Now this is how his morale is built. This is how he's, trying to do something, trying to achieve something.
And he was getting ready for
He was getting ready for that. And we prepare officers before we launch them.
Don't just throw him
Whereas in corporate world, there is no love lost. From either side. The bosses don't care about your well-being, about your emotional factors. And the employee also doesn't care. He chucks the job and goes and joins a new company. Here we stick for life. Same company, same bosses, same friends, same family.
And so how will an army officer's experience or someone's learning from this book help in the corporate thing?
Yeah, again, I given an example in the book. There was an officer when I was a corps commander.
Right.
There was a lieutenant colonel serving with me in Kashmir. And we happened to meet 2-3 times and we were in touch with each other. I came back from Kashmir, he went his way. And suddenly post-retirement, after 3 years of retirement, I buy a television from an online portal.
Right.
And the installation was getting delayed. And a lot of emails exchanged and everything, but nothing happened for 7 days. Finally, after getting fed up, I tweeted about it. Now, when I tweeted about this incident, a lot of, posts and comments from the paparazzi or what do you call that, Twitterati. And this officer, out of the blue, sends me a message, "Sir, please let me know your order number. I will do something." And I replied back, I said, "Yeah, tera kaam nahi hai. Thank you very much for the offer, but it's not a job." He again says, "No, sir, I will do something." And I thought some of his relatives or friends or someone would be there in that company. So I said, "No, it's okay, but why are you saying this?" He said, "Sir, I left the army and now I'm working with this company from whom you have bought the TV." And I said, "Okay, nice." I said, "Are you in the sales or after sales vertical?" He said, "No, sir, I'm not in that. I'm in a separate vertical, altogether a different vertical. But since it's my company's responsibility, so I take the ownership of my company. And I will make sure that things are set right." So I said, "But why?" He said, "Sir, in the army, जो मैंने 20-25 साल नौकरी की है, I learnt only this, कि when you do a job, take ownership of that organization, that job, and do it as if it's your personal work." He said, "Now I'm working with this company, it may not be my job, but I will make sure my company performs and delivers." And within 30 minutes of my sharing the order number, the installation happened. Whereas the person who was responsible for doing it,
that doesn't happen.
he did not do it for 7 days. And here is a veteran who comes with those leadership, military ethos to this corporate, brings value to the corporate, and resolves that issue within 30 minutes. And I have so much respect for that veteran, as well as the company's efficiency after a right person is guiding it.
Absolutely.
So this is how the military men, they bring value to corporate world, to the civil world, if employed properly.
Sir, we are running out of time, but my questions are like far from over, so I'll just quickly get through it. We had an interview last when this Pehalgam attack took place and 27 innocent tourists, they died. And you said that India will choose its own time and place to retaliate to this, and so India did. So looking back, what do you see about it, and did India win the conflict?
Yes, very much. Firstly, India attacked at the time and place of its own choosing.
Right.
We chose the terror hubs, terror camps, terror headquarters, not only in Pakistan occupied Jammu Kashmir, in proper Punjab, going right up to Bahawalpur and Muridke.
Right.
And we attacked with precision weapons, not touching any civilian locality or collateral damage, or not touching any military installation. And we declared it. Okay, this is our retaliation to Pehalgam. And I see it the same way as 9/11 happened, and Americans retaliated by picking up Osama bin Laden from Abbottabad in Pakistan.
Right.
So that was not an act of war. Even this was not an act of war, because this was retaliation to Pehalgam. So when Pakistan hit back with missiles and drones on our civilians, killed so many innocent civilians in Kashmir, whereas our attack did not touch the civilians at all. So that was an act of war. That was initiation of war.
We still had a moral...
we were very clear that we have not touched the civilians. Even in our retaliatory strikes, we did not touch the civilians. So then the best thing which happened in this point, you said, did we win the war? Two nuclear countries came to conflict for the first time in the history.
Yes.
Nowhere else in the world it has happened before. And one nuclear country, a nuclear powered country, that is Pakistan, was decimated to ground in 3 days, wherein our missiles and our projectiles could hit their air bases at will. Their air force could not do anything, their air defense could not do anything. So that was the mighty super domination of the Indian military forces. And they started begging for ceasefire. And as far as we are concerned, we know Pakistan is not going to mend its way. Pakistan is not going to give up terror. Pakistan is not going to give up killing of innocents. And Operation Sindoor is still on. Operation Sindoor has not yet closed down. This is again for the first time the nuclear capable country's air defense and air force was grounded within the first 3 days of conflict. Indian missiles and Indian projectiles could hit their air bases at will. They could not intercept even one of our missiles. Their air force and air defense was totally negated, and the losses on ground were tremendous. Whereas all their missiles and drones were intercepted by our air defense system much before they could hit any of the intended targets.
Cause any damage.
And it was not only the victory between India and Pakistan, it was the victory of Indian weapons, the Russian weapons, vis-a-vis the Chinese weapon and the Turkish weapon. The whole world was watching this skirmish because it was real time, real war trial of these weapon systems.
This was no simulation.
This was not simulation. This was real weapons being fired in real time and being intercepted by real weapons. So Indian weapons, Indian joint venture weapons, the Soviet Russian weapons, and Indian even legacy weapons, they came out trumps against Chinese and Turkish weapon systems.
Right.
So that is again the world is wanting to know which is the best weapon system which they want to procure.
So this was Lieutenant General KJS Tiny Dhillon, and I wish, and I always wish that I could continue with this talk with him for the benefit of our viewers. And thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for agreeing to us despite your very, very busy schedule. And we hope to catch you soon. And good luck for your future projects also, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, and thank you. Jai Hind.